I've never dealt with steering problems on a 240 before, so this is all new territory for me. Last week, Sarah discovered that her brand new set of tires were eaten through in under 1,000 miles. This 92 240 is in pretty good shape underneath. It's been very clean and well taken care of, and has been since we bought it last April. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put the link down below. We found, through taking it to a shop to get the alignment checked, that we had a bad rack and pinion. So our journey began to find our options, and they're very limited right now. There used to be options on websites like FCP Euro and Rock Auto to get remanufactured racks, but they all were right around $500 and currently out of stock. There's a few rebuild services available, and for $700 you can get a lifetime warranty rebuilt rack, which is great. Overnight shipping is nice, but the car has to be down for maybe a week. Who knows? We can't really afford the cost nor having the car down, so our options were pretty straightforward. Go to the junkyard, hope to find the same rack, and install it on the car. Here's that journey. Wish us luck as we cross our fingers and uncross our wheels. Rumor has it that they stopped the rewards program too, so talk about inflation, huh? Yeah, all right, so we're making our way to row 20, what did I say, 27? Spot 12?
27.
And look at this. It says 1959 Metropolis Series 1.5. So perhaps it's a 1.5 liter, but look at this little baby engine. It's a little baby engine. And it continues on to more and more sections that way. Something that's interesting about the regulation here is that they have the entire floor coated to minimize, I guess, to some degree, the fluids that make their way into the soil, because everywhere around us is populated by humans. There's no like out of the way location when you're in a city or in a suburban area of about 10 million folks plus. Who knows what the greater Los Angeles and Orange County population is, but anyway, they gotta deal with this stuff because it's just not profitable for them to be draining every fluid, transmission, power steering. They do air conditioning at least, because that is the most harmful, but even engine oil, sometimes you'll find, pockets in the engine where there's oil. The lazy ones just pop a hole in the oil pan. There's a green C70 right here, Sarah. What a bold combination. I cannot believe, what, you gotta be like, it's a 2000 only. Oh my word, look at this. They actually went with a colored option. Is it possible that this is not aftermarket and this is just a rare interior combo for the C70? Because all the details sure look that way. Let's keep a side eye on our bags. Let's see what we have here. I want to find out. Rumor has it, the spline count changed. There's 3 different racks. There's the cam rack, which may or may not be the same as the TRW, and then there's the ZF. You can tell by the rubber booties, or you can also just check the stamping on it. So this is a 91 model year, and there's a little bit of on the tie rod the inner tie rod. But our issue is actually all right here, where the shaft that goes into the rack and pinion has some wobble. This one's quite solid, and that makes me feel very good about it. The other side here, it is so covered in oil, but if you look, this shaft is nice. It's still got its good grease on it, and it doesn't have much wiggle to it. Yeah, so one of the tie rod ends is already disconnected here. This one is going to be our big challenge for the day. And then we have to disconnect the collar, the 2 power steering lines with the banjo bolts. And then this thing should just have an easy drop out. Wish us luck.
Blow with some freaking freezing. Make me some hot cocoa.
Strap mount opened up on us. Look. I loosened the bolt. I started hammering this down, and then this dropped because the collar was so loose. So, yeah, that was fun. Whew. Girl wants a camshaft.
Whom do you serve? Saruman.
Anyway, gotta get back up there with the whatchamacallit and the hammer.
Oh. Is it magnetic?
I sure hope not.
It's just actually good.
Okay. Puts the anus in tetanus. .8-liter 4-cylinder with the little baby turbo. This looks just like the Hand of Sauron.
And that's what blind spike is.
All right, this is an 86. It's the first year that has the plastic on the bottom of the doors, but you can see it's like less dark plastics, more chrome and stuff. The first thing that really pops out at me is the oil cover, oil cap. Yep, this is a totally different steering rack. This has the big booties on the end, so it could be a ZF rack, being an older car. And that spider web you're seeing right there, that's a Black Widow if I've ever seen one. What year is this 940? 91 maybe? 161,000 miles. It's nice. It's got a sunroof, leather. It's a bummer.
Coupons.
Oh. Non-turbo. Sedan. End of speech. Still closes so well. I love the sound of these doors closing, especially the 9 Series. Back in the borrowed driveway so we can get a little bit of work done here. I was just watching my S60R videos. Can't get enough of those things because I'm excited. Anyway, right here in this very spot, I had the old Pirate. But today, come over here, let me show you. Here's our good old R&P, and our job today will be to remove the tie rod ends. Hopefully we can find out how to do that. Clean this thing quite nicely and install it into the car. While you're cleaning this, Sarah, I'm going to be working on draining the fluid from yours and getting it back in. This is really good lighting on you right here. And your hair is blowing in the wind. Wow, who is she?
Hello.
Let's get to it. Because this is not a junkyard car, we have to take care of what we remove and what we get access to. So I'll make sure to catch all the fluids here in the driveway before the concrete does. To get access to the steering shaft, the intake hose here will have to come off. So I'll disconnect the mass airflow sensor. Of course, kind of goes without saying, but the battery's disconnected first. And mass airflow sensor, I can loosen the clamp here that holds this boot. After dust boot is off, then I will remove this hose here for the idle air control system. It's very possible that you'll find a lot of your hoses will be dried and cracked, broken, etc. And do not fret. I think those are all available. It will benefit me to get the coil wire out of the way, since that is something I'll be reaching in and around. This is the rear hose that goes to the intake boot. This one connects to the flame trap. Always have a look for cracks in some of the bellows, no relation. Because any air that leaks in after the MAF is unmetered could cause a lean condition in your engine. You don't want that. It causes more damage than a rich condition, which means, you know, too much or too little fuel, rich, lean, respectively. At the end of your U-joint, this is the trickiest part of removing this whole piece. At the end of that, it's got a little hole, and inside of that hole is this retaining clip, and this retaining clip just essentially prevents the nut from loosening itself to the point where it falls out completely, because that could be very dangerous for going down the road. On Sarah's car, I want to keep the U-joint in place because hers looks much better than this one, and it's very much like a drive shaft U-joint. Looks like it can be pressed out in the same way, but it doesn't also look to be a serviceable part. So we're gonna stick with the better of the two, and I will try to extract it from the bottom. So I'll have to remove these two, drain the fluid on her car, and then we will hammer up into this and hopefully get that to remove itself. We want to be careful not to collapse the steering column, because further up it is a collapsible unit in case of an accident, and I don't think uncollapsing them is an option for us. To the left, it's one full rotation, and if this is 1.5, then it's just past that. We'll start at one end. Yep. And we will go 180 degrees. Okay. Sorry, I'm doing the math wrong. 360 plus 180 plus 60. So it's 1 5/8 of a turn to get to the middle from here. So the removal was actually very good underneath of both the tie rod ends. Remember, to quote David Hunt, who is still with us, thankfully, do not force it, use a bigger hammer. So once you loosen those nuts up top, we don't get any rust here, but this car was from Oregon, right? Oregon fishing.
Oregon.
So the drain went really well here, didn't miss much. And then here's my screwdriver going back into the U-joint. Where are you? Right there. See the screwdriver in the U-joint there. So I'm able to hammer it here through the access port. And as I'm prying that open, it should easily fall out on us as the bolts are removed. There are 2 U-bolts here. You know, sometimes after a long day at the office, you just want to get home and man spread. Yeah.
Cute.
Thanks. Can I see it? That's a mood. It's this side up.
Mind. Lick it.
Stop reading my mind. And the number is 34007139. All right. Here's the part where we learn how to remove tie rod ends. See that divot? That is essentially the lock divot. So we take a screwdriver, we take a hammer, and we flatten that. Now we should be able to loosen. Okay, once you break it loose, I haven't done this in maybe 5 years, and it was on a V70, which requires a tool. Makes it a little bit easier, but you know, it's weird to think that all of your steering is controlled by a shaft that small at the end, but there it is. The TRW / I think the ZF or cam. Oh, I'm getting all confused. But these tie rod ends are for all the later year 240s, it seems. And the earlier ones have a different setup. Of course, the ones with the big rubber booties at the end are the other style. Now, I don't like stressing this versus that, which is why we have pliers here. And this is our space where it's fair to grab. I will try that again and repeat. Not swap them, but remove the old ones and put our known good ones in here. I'll show you when that one's off exactly how they wiggle when they're worn. Tight. This has the slightest wobble.
Just on your hand. Oh, there we go. Perfect.
That translates to quite a bit of a clunk in your steering.
You did it.
It's stiff. Here was our clunk. Is there a way to... The same way that I was wiggling that tie rod end, this wiggles inside of here. So,
Broken tooth?
no, I think it's just worn. Power steering rack is installed. It was actually a little too easy, so maybe we're just getting good at this, or maybe we're a little nervous. But yeah, that's it. The slip joint went in pretty good. And now it's time to add some fluid. We'll have the car up in the air and the wheels off the ground. With the fluid added, we're gonna have to turn lock to lock to lock to lock and keep doing that until the air bubbles have exited the bottom and are all the way up at the reservoir. So it'll just be our way of bleeding the system. If the air bubbles get too small, they could still travel through the fluid. So we might just end up, stopping it, giving them a chance to settle, starting it, doing it again. But yeah, engine running, power steering, activating left to right, lock to lock. And that's that. The car is complete, and also got to reconnect everything up top, but the job looks complete. And some adjustment, maybe I'll measure the tires to make sure everything's straight. I'm not exactly sure how to do that. I'm not an alignment guy, but yeah, should be enough to get us to the shop. Here's the power steering reservoir. We added some fluid. We did some turns left to right, end to end. It bubbles. You can see this is actually still quite bubbly.
Wow, that's cool.
Those will settle over time, but right now we're gonna set the car back down. Give our strawberry milkshake a minute to get all these bubbles out through the end. Call it a night. Hey, I was right that it took 3 hours.
Exactly 3 hours?
Yeah, we kind of dilly-dallied in the middle there, but start to finish, 3:45 to 6:45. A lot of that was also cleaning the stuff, so if you get like a new rack in place, this is a pretty quick job. Easy now. Easy, Jay. And all in all, this job took about a half a quart, maybe 0.6 quarts. And the old fluid was this kind of amber going on brownish color. Yeah, but if you do have really dirty fluid, you're just doing a drain and fill. You don't have to drain the system because you don't open up the copper O-rings and the bottom banjo bolts. You can just take a turkey baster, siphon out from the tank, the reservoir up top, top it off with fresh fluid, move the wheels back and forth a bit. It's easier with the car up off the ground, and then use the baster again and keep doing that sort of a little bit at a time. Similar effect happens when you're trying to get all the old transmission fluid out of a car. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Hope this was helpful. I'm just turning the wheel. I'm gonna lock the wheel. Oh, look, Sarah, I've never seen this before. They finally put, do you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Look at this. They finally put the dimensions of the tire on the side of the tire. These are brand spanking new.
Oh, they're just new.
Oh,
New, Grandpa.